I know a lot of people say this jokingly, but I absolutely 100% mean it from the bottom of my soul when I say, thank God for the new day. Hey everybody, this is pro wrestling gear designer Davenport, and you are about to listen to the greatest podcast that I've ever had the honor of being on. The greatest dudes. I had such a fun time. You are in for a treat. Get ready for the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.
Ladies and gents, days and thems, this week we bring you another incredible guest. This week's incredibly talented guest will teach you two things in life. One, follow your passions. And two, 80s cartoons were fucking awesome. This week's guest has worked with Disney princesses, Golden Girls, and even WWE superstars. So don't you dare be sour and clap for the master of story-driven graphic design and feel the power as we bring you the Chronicles of Jonathan Davenport.
Wow, that was so good.
Well, thank you.
That was so good. No joke. That was amazing. I'm glad we recorded, right?
Yes, we definitely recorded that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm making that my outgoing message when people call me from now on. I'm grabbing that. That is mine now. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's my gift to you,
thanks
sir.
For the donation.
I'm a little bit proud of you right now, mate.
Cheers.
Feels good.
So before we dive in toward the deliciousy part of everything that you do, how's your Monday been?
Oh Lord. Well, I'll tell you a separate part of the story I didn't tell you before the podcast. I and my wife won't listen to this, so it doesn't matter. I'm driving home. I just dropped my kid off at driver's ed. Now she is a little bit over the flu now, but like she's had these driving courses after school every day, so it's been nonstop for her. I just drop her off. I'm on my way home. I'm like, it's cold here, unseasonably cold in Florida. Like it snowed yesterday. Just crazy.
What the?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I'm supposed to know what it is.
Yeah. But in the afternoon, it's like, it's warmer. The heat's beating down on you. If you open the window, you freeze. So you're stuck right in the middle. And the point is I'm getting sleepy. I'm dying of sleep. I'm like, I'm not going to make it home. This is bad. My phone pings and it's my wife, and she's giving us the food menu for the week. Like, oh, tonight we're having, and tomorrow we're having. It's pretty nice. And I saw the thing for tonight, and it's not my fave. So I thought, I'm out alone. Nobody knows where I am. I'm going to pull over and get myself something awesome, something that only I like. I'm gonna fill up on that. And then tonight, like if I'm not that hungry, it's like it'll be fine. But the traffic's really heavy, and I'm like veering off course, and I'm like sitting in traffic. I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting away with this. Normally I can't. Oh no, I've got the podcast. I had to like veer out of traffic and go around. So all that to say, I haven't eaten, but I'm on time. You know,
we appreciate your sacrifice, sir.
Meet an hour late, but within that hour, I'm on time.
Do you know, I would have understood as well if you'd gone, guys, listen, right? I'm not down for dinner tonight. I've just got to go quick. I won't be long. We would have waited. So.
Oh, brother.
Oh, Jesus. Oh. So, John, how we like to start these things, we like to take them right back to the days of young Master Davenport, you could say. What did you want to be when you were growing up? Has it always been art and storytelling for you, or was it something completely different, like train driver? I don't know.
Comic books. Wanted to be a comic book artist and writer. That was my first dream, and the one I held on to the longest. And then at one point, I kind of, you sort of get it in your head after multiple submissions and rejections that you're like, maybe I need a more realistic dream. So then I was like, let me be a movie director. And it turns out that is more difficult than it sounds as well. I had a couple things. I had a couple movies. I never directed any features. I directed some shorts, but I wrote a few features. One of them came out last year, yes. F Plus with Randy Couture, which is pretty fun. But then in a weird way, I tumbled out of that and into game development, where I wrote video games for like years, and then fell out of that window and landed on wrestling gear design. It's been the strangest path. I could not have predicted it.
So where did that love of art and stuff come from then?
I think it's inherited a little bit. My dad's an artist. He's an interesting guy because he's good with pen and paper. But what he really likes to do is build models out of like just random materials. Like you'll find like cardboard and plastic pieces and like egg cartons and any scraps, and he puts these like models together and they look awesome. Mostly he was in the army, he was in special forces, so mostly it's like he's really into like armor and armory stuff and tanks, you know. So he's built like hundreds of like scale model tanks out of just like nothingness over the years, and I think that's just sort of like, you know, it's kind of in my blood, you know. So I, from a very young age, I used to draw comic books for my mom on a monthly schedule, and if I missed an issue, I would just beat myself up about it and go apologize to my mom and be like, "Mom, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to get you this month's issue of whatever I was making," and she was like, it's fine. No problem. Like, no, it's not good enough. I failed. I'm going back to my room.
So adorably cute. I love that so much. But everywhere I did my research about you, and I even mentioned it in my intro, you give credit to 80s and 90s pop culture as a big inspiration of you and your art. So what were your favorites growing up? Because that's our era as well. So I'm intrigued.
Oh, right on, right on. Well, I'd be lying if I didn't say Transformers like tops the list for me. It's just been my longest love. And I could go on for, if we want to make this a Transformers podcast, I can do it easily. We can make the switch, no problem. I could go on for hours about why I love that brand and why I love the toy and why I love the cartoons and the movies. Like, you know, they're fine. They are what they are, but they're very helpful to us fans because it brought in like just $1 billion an installment that Hasbro then just funneled into more cool stuff for us. So, you know, everything has its place. And I will say, just because you asked me, the thing I love the most about the Transformers is like it's 3 toys in one, man. You know, it's the vehicle, it's the action figure, and it's a puzzle. And some of the newer ones that they make, from the Masterpiece line that take like an hour to transform, are just absolute mind benders. So I love them. I can't help it.
Yeah, been watching them Jordan Stallion videos on Instagram where he's just got all those toys. He just says transform. He's like a little kid in the corner while it like says the Autobot. So good.
I want one of them so bad.
I suppose you've got one lined up on your desk there next to you.
I had one here before we started, and then I was like, that's not what this is about, and I moved it, but I'll put them back.
Yeah, put him back.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. A little decorative piece. I love it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I was thinking about selling that one because it's like, it's not from any of the shows that I watched. It's an Optimus Prime that turns into a lion, like a mechanical lion. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Like, look
I
at
remember
his
that
shoulder pauldron, you know?
Oh, wow.
That is pretty cool.
Very fascinating figure. And I kind of just got it on a whim, and it's been on my shelf forever. And I was thinking about selling it off, and so I was like, all right, well, let me put it on my desk, and then I'll box it up. And it's been sitting there on my desk, and like just over the last couple of weeks, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's a pretty cool figure. That's what always happens.
Why'd you miss your deadline, John? Well, I was staring at this Optimus Prime figure, and I just couldn't decide if I was going to sell him or not.
Why are there lions all over this gear? No one asked for this. Just felt inspired.
Unless it was, I don't know, maybe it was a Power Rangers. Maybe Mattel were making something and then kind of got lost halfway and went, well, hang on a minute. We've got the White Zord and Optimus Prime as what? Oh, I'll go with it. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? My wife was asking me about this recently. She said something. I can't remember what the catalyst was, but regardless, I just kind of got into this little diatribe with her where I was saying, you know, I've worked with so many brands over the years, through like from Disney and Nick and just tons of stuff and WWE, of course. I've never actually been paid to do anything Transformers. It's like the one brand I haven't touched. And I used to really, really want that. And I think now it's best that I don't because I can just engage with it as a fan, you know? Like there are some how do I get around this? How do I make it cool? How do I not offend? There are some performers that I've had interactions with that are no longer my favorites. And when I am watching the show, it affects my viewing and my enjoyment of the show because I'm like, well, that guy's an a-hole. So,
Yeah.
and I don't have any such things with Transformers. It's just I can just be a fan and just be a little kid and get in there and enjoy it. So that's why, and that's why this is about Transformers now.
Well, it does make complete sense to be fair. But obviously, one thing and major about you that I found in all my research was your love for storytelling. And it even says on your website, and I quote, "It would be many years before I'd be able to articulate what it was that drew me to those things, but when I did, everything snapped into place. It was a passion for storytelling." What was it that led you to this realization that storytelling was where it all was for you?
If you want to get deep, is deep for me anyway. I don't know how deep it is objectively, but for me, I come from a family of divorce. Were your parents still together? You guys? No. Okay. So I'm with my people. When that happens, and it happened to me like at a very young age, your world explodes.
Yeah.
There are two solid foundations in your life that make the world make sense when you're growing up. It's like mom's there, dad's there. And when suddenly one is not there anymore, and like, could be, and as a kid's mind, you're like, could be here, chooses not to be here.
Yeah.
It messes you up, man. It throws your entire world. You know this, like it throws your orbit off. Nothing makes sense anymore. Like you're not standing on steady ground. You start having trust issues. You blame yourself for stuff. Anyway, it's kind of it's anarchy, and what I think, and this is just kind of me, like just living life and looking at things and putting things together. I didn't know this as a kid, but I think what's so great about storytelling is it gives purpose to meaninglessness, to randomness, and to anarchy. It's design. It's pulling things together and applying a theme. And it says like, hey, that thing that happened to you, it paid off for this reason. If you hadn't gone through this thing, this wouldn't make sense. And just like it's very primal, and like as an adult, you can kind of go like, oh, you're assigning meaning where there maybe there wasn't any, but it doesn't matter because I think what matters is the way it feels to you. So for me, I think just like when you read a story and things are going crazy, things are going out of control, and it looks like there's no way out, and characters are at their lowest level, and everything that they thought and everything they believed in is taken away from them. Somehow, either through the family around you, your friends around you, circumstance, something you learned, something you picked up along the way, or whatever it is, you manage to turn that into something that transforms you and gets you to a place that you never thought was possible at the beginning. And I think just at the end of those dumb little half-hour installments of like cartoons or shows or movies, whatever it is you're watching, by the end, like you kind of realize that just because the world explodes doesn't mean it can't be rebuilt better by the end.
Love that. Absolutely love that because I completely know what you mean. Like it tore my head apart. Like I couldn't get my head right. I still struggle to this day. I was talking to someone about it recently. Still sometimes struggle to wrap my head around it. Also, I completely get where you're coming from, and you're absolutely right when it comes to storytelling. Because just because it's just that middle bit ain't great, don't mean the end isn't going to be. Love that. Absolutely love that. But you do have a wild career. Like, look, you mentioned some of the things you've done earlier. You're known for your art and stuff. Now you mentioned your screenplays earlier. And you hinted earlier you wanted to be a film director. You went to film school to do this, didn't you?
I did. It turns out, though, that they don't just hand you movies as soon as you graduate from film school.
Damn.
They don't tell you that going in. They don't tell you that before all the tuition and whatnot. I did get a little bit lucky though. In my group of friends in film school, I was the only one who was interested in screenwriting. There's a lot of overlapping interests, and I think if anybody does get disillusioned with film school, I think that's the reason. Is there's only so many slots and only so many projects, and everyone can't direct. So if you're like, you know what I'm really into? Set design. You'll probably get that role. So for whatever reason at the time, I know it's extremely popular now, but at the time, screenwriting was not a sought after position when I was in school. And I'll never forget, there was a guy named Keith Strandberg who came to speak at our school, which at the time, my school it wasn't prestigious, I'll put it that way. I went to the University of Central Florida, and they had a film school, but it was like very small. Like, not that like the teachers weren't qualified. It was like great, and you got a lot of personal attention, but it wasn't like a world-renowned film school or anything like that. In the class ahead of me were the two guys who made the Blair Witch Project. So right after that hit and I graduated, it became this like really amazing film school with like tons of money being pumped into it.
Of course.
But yeah, so Mr. Strandberg came and he spoke to us, and he had written a movie called Blood Moon, which was like I'll call it schlock, but I mean it with like the most respect ever, because like it actually inspired me. I was like, the people in my classroom were very artsy minded. They wanted to make art films, and it made sense. I wanted to make commercial films because that's what I grew up on, and that's what I really liked. And so he showed us this movie, and it was like a martial arts movie with like a hint of sci-fi in it. And he passed out the budget sheet, and I saw that like he had gotten paid $30,000 for that movie, and I was like, okay, I'm going to be a screenwriter because I could use that kind of money. And then there was a gentleman by the name of Hector Chavarria that we call international action star and the Chuck Norris of Argentina, who wanted to make an action movie, but didn't have the budget to pay like a fully seasoned crew. So he had the actually pretty bright idea to like go to a film school and like recruit some students to make his film for him. And I happened to be in the group of people that he approached, and he's like, "Does anyone here write?" And I was like, "It's finally happening." So I ended up writing a couple of martial arts movies right out of film school, which was pretty fun. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So how do you oh, sorry.
No, you're good, Joe.
I was going to say, how do you go from then writing screen to go into writing video games?
Oh, so again, they don't hand you these movies, and if I had, I don't know. Do you guys have regrets in your life? Do you have things?
So many.
Yeah.
Let's make this a regret podcast.
So you guys haven't gone down the journey of like, no, I can't have regrets because every mistake I made me who I am today. You still have things where you're like, I wish I did it differently.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because part of me is like that. I was like, I wouldn't be where I am now when I'm a wife, my kids, but yeah, sometimes I wish I hadn't done that still. Yeah,
I think it makes you, doesn't it? I think everything that happens in the past sort of makes you and builds you to who you are. So you mentioned about obviously divorces earlier. Like my dad leaving, I think, made me come out of my shell. I was very introverted when I was a kid, but now I don't shut the hell up. So that sort of thing. So I think I found myself with my dad not in my life anymore, if that makes sense. So
it does.
I've had regrets, but I think I've now surpassed them, and it's built me into who I am doing this now and that sort of thing. And I'm finally in my career path at the same time as well at the ripe old age of 38. It's kind of it's nice. Sorry.
No, that's what I wanted to know. That's great. I wrestle with that myself with the is it a mistake if you didn't know better? I don't know. But when I got those two movies, I really thought like I'm good to go. Like, who knows what I'll be accomplishing now? But it turns out that if you don't keep pushing and pursuing and just striving for things, no matter how much momentum you think you have, it will die off, you know?
Yeah.
And I honestly just wasn't trying hard enough because it fell into my lap. I'll say I didn't earn it because I did show up and I did do the work, but it was luck. You know, I happened to be in a place when a thing was happening and I happened to be a person who like volunteered for it. So that was cool, but I didn't know how to work for anything beyond that. I just was like, oh, things happen for me. That's great. I can't wait for the next thing to happen for me. So when things didn't happen for me, I ended up moving back home and just more coincidence, like a friend that I met in film school, his brother was a composer at this video game company not too far from where I lived. And he called his brother, who's like my best pal, Kenny, who directed F plus. He called him in for a gig, like to direct something for something the video game company was doing, and he called me in as a writer. So that's how I met this game company. So I was like, it was a neat feeling because I had never been around other artists. Like I just kind of grew up, you know, kind of isolated. So whenever we weren't working, I'd just kind of walk around the floor and it was, oh my gosh, it was so great. It was like all these dudes, all with ponytails and goatees, desks just right covered in action figures and Warcraft posters and just like and drawing on these tablets that I'd never seen before. And I was like, what is this room? I have got to make friends with these people. And so I remember I specifically found who looked like the lead nerd and walked up and was like, can we be friends? And he was like, sure. So I kind of got to know them. And because I could draw, they, you know, after the gig ended, they were like, what do you do? Use Photoshop? Is there any skills that you could bring to the table? And I didn't know Photoshop at all. I'd never drawn digitally before. So I was like, no, I just kind of do marker and pen, but like I could do concept stuff. So I got brought on as a concept artist and a guy named Brad Nault, who's an artist, like lead artist there, taught me how to use Photoshop and kind of started my career as a digital artist just by taking the time out of his day to teach me that stuff. And so that's how I ended up in gaming, just doing concept art and some box art, UI, stuff like that, sort of learning the trade from people who were already doing it. And then one day, we got the license for a Fairly Odd Parents game, and the writer dropped out for whatever reason. So they were scrambling to find a writer. And once again, I was like, I have some history in that. And I thought they just handed it to me, but they didn't. They made me do the writer version of an audition, which basically they had me write a scene. Several other people did too. We couldn't put our names on it, and we just turned it in. And they just sent it to the developer or the publisher, excuse me, and they picked the one they liked the most. It happened to be mine. So that's how I got into it.
That's so cool. Does it feel a bit odd though, because obviously that was quite a huge cartoon at the time as well, so having to make a game for it, having to write scenes for it and that sort of thing. Did you feel like, oh, okay, well, I need to bring this justice now because this is quite a big sort of thing going on TV right now?
You know that thing when you're young and cocky and think you can do anything?
Yeah. Whatever do you mean, John?
I didn't sweat it at all. Like I was so confident that I could do it. If I got that gig now, I'd have a nervous breakdown. Like I don't know. I knew I could. So I did.
That's probably a better way of going into it, really. Then, oh my god. Okay, so right. If I think, okay, so Cosmo normally says this. So if I, you just went, yeah, I can do that. Perfect. There you go.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I became like the staff writer. So whenever the developer got another licensed game, it came to me, and so I ended up writing everything like Barbie games and Hannah Montana and The Little Mermaid and Monsters Inc. and like just a ton of them, just like one after another. And it went really well for a long time, but eventually, as you know, the middle tends to disappear in every industry, right? Things are either we were in just that mid-budget area, and everything above is like these AAA titles that are like cost millions of dollars to make, and then everything below was just like super casual games where there's no budget at all. And those two sides just became more and more popular over the years, and eventually there was kind of no place for the style of games that we were making, and so then that dried up.
Ah,
It's funny. I
Crazy,
think
right?
it is. It's funny. You were saying then, like you mentioned all these different properties in these games. You rarely see that anymore. All the time, you see, oh, new film's coming out. There's a game for it as well. The game probably have nothing to do with the film, but still, there's a game for it as well. You never see that anymore.
And I know why, and you know why. It's because game development takes so long. Oh, I got a story for you. So one of the last things that I wrote, like the very last thing I wrote, was a game for The Weeknd, the artist. It was a Roblox game
yeah.
that came out last year as well, I think. Before that, there had been kind of a dry spell with games for the very reason that you just said. So I was writing stories for interactive toys. Like there's a toy that speaks to an app, and there needs to be like a narrative path for it. So I was working on a stormtrooper for what was the middle movie of the sequel trilogy?
The Last Jedi. Last
Last
Jedi.
Jedi. Yeah. So it was supposed to come out with Last Jedi, and Lucasfilm refused to tell us anything about the movie. And so
Fuck's sake.
trying to write this, it's not even like a story, it's just a narrative experience that takes place in the same time and place as the film, and they won't tell us anything about it. They'll send you pictures and go like, this is the flagship of this is Snoke's flagship, and we're like, cool, what's the context, like, is there a battle on board? Do people, are there sneaky? Is there spying? Like, what's the thing? And they're like, we can't tell you that. That's top secret stuff. We're like, wow, okay. So, obviously we're doing our best, but like, it's just like, it's a shell of an experience compared to what the movie was. It's like, it's almost as if the people making the game had no idea what the movie was about.
Yeah.
Supposed to give you free range, just put whatever you wanted in there. But like, well, don't go tell us, we'll do whatever we want. Yeah.
But I think that's why you don't see games going along with movies anymore,
Yeah.
because the games take so long to develop, and the movies are trying to be so
Yeah.
secretive about things. It's like, it's just impossible. That said, I got the Avatar game, Frontiers of Pandora, I think, for Christmas. It's old, but I finally wanted it. And I just started playing it this weekend, and it's so immersive. Like, that feels like the filmmaker actually cared about the product.
Yeah.
Like, it really is integrated into the world of the Avatar films. So that's one that did it right, and I don't think it's hugely popular.
Probably
Did
took as
you-
long to make as the original film did.
Did your write with the writing of the video games and writing for the martial arts scenes and everything, did that inspire you and help you going forward into writing your shorts and your movies that you've obviously brought out?
Yeah, a little bit. It was interesting because when I first started writing for games, they were all linear. So, you're training to write stories, and you're using things that you learned in studying screenplays, just with like the experience curve and your beat sheets and all that. So it's like, it was really nice. So like, I feel like for a lot of those games, I delivered, a fun, very an experience that was sort of analogous to watching a show. Like, you had highs, you had lows, you had lots of, it was very fun. But after a while, games stopped being linear, and you had to learn a new way of writing where you can't have a complete choose your own adventure because it's impossible to manage that. So it's like you have to have like kind of a contained experience with a lot of offshoots and a lot of branches that sort of loop around and come back. So it's more circular style storytelling. I did not get to use that in a filmed project yet. I was really interested in VR when it first became popular again. Just because do you guys love like detective stories and mysteries and such?
Yes, I read a
Into
lot of
those?
crime novels and stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, like, man, I love a good mystery. I love it. I love it. And probably because I'm so bad at them, like I can't figure out anything ever. I never guess the right. I never know who did it. Like guaranteed. So so it's fun for me. It's an exciting experience. But I always thought like, man, just like a really deep, fun, investigative mystery that's like sort of non-linear would be so fun in VR because if you're in a room looking for clues, like there's no more immersive experience than that.
Yeah, that'd be
and the fact that you can right and you can change perspectives and like you can kneel down and look under a desk or look behind things, like it would be so cool. So that has not happened yet. I would love for it to happen. If any developers are out there listening, hit me up. It'd be fun. But yeah, it's been fun learning these different storytelling styles. But it was more like the movies and TV style of storytelling like fed into the gaming at first. But I never really got to pull too much gaming back out, except for pace. You know, like when I wrote F plus, that was like for families and kids, and you had to keep their interest in like constant jokes, constant events, or you lose them. So there was a little of that.
You say F plus is for family and for kids, so why do I want to watch it? I haven't got a family or kids. I watched the trailer, was like, I want to see this. I even looked on my Apple TV and went, why is it not in the UK on Apple TV? I haven't checked Amazon yet. I will look.
Oh, thank you. It's okay. And I know, you know, it's me talking about my own thing, but it's so fun. It is such a fun movie. Yeah. You know, making movies is so hard, and getting to make a movie is hard. It's just everything's very difficult, and it's getting harder every day. So I'm also, you know, a lot of times you're wrestling with like, is this going to be a regret? Is this going to be one of those things that drags me into the abyss? I don't know. But I kind of realized the other day that between F plus and Bridges, the animated short that I made with Big E, between those two things, like there's so much of me, like the things that I like and the things I believe in, like in those two movies. I'm okay. I'm good. Like if nothing else happens, like, you know, if I go to my grave tomorrow, like watch my movies and you'll know who I was.
Yeah.
And F plus, for anyone who cares, I wrote it when my daughter was the age of the characters who are in the movie. They're in middle school, so it's like for middle schoolers, about middle schoolers. And I always was like, I'm not. When I was in film school, I was like, I'll do anything except write a fart joke. No fart jokes for this guy. And I was wrong. I own that. Because when I was like listening to my daughter and her friends in the backseat driving them around, it was all farts all the time. Yeah. And they just loved it. Like it was Shakespeare for them. They loved it. And I was like, I would be remiss. I'm actually not doing my job if I don't put fart jokes in this movie for them, right? And so I thought, if I'm going to do a fart joke, I'm going to do the greatest, most intricately layered, meticulously planned fart joke of all time. And I think we accomplished it. So there's your hook.
I mean, I'm 40 this year and I still love fart jokes. So they're just timeless. I don't care what anyone says.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Obviously, you mentioned Bridges there, and I do want to talk about that. But before we can talk about that, we do need to talk about a creative partnership which has shaped your career and probably even your life at this point. And that's working with the New Day. How did this partnership come around?
Have you never heard?
No.
Oh, that's amazing. You know, there's a lot of noise out there, as it turns out. There's a lot of stuff, and it's really hard to break through. I'm always like a little self-conscious because I've told this story before, and I'm like, nobody wants to hear the same story again. But no one's heard it ever. It never matters how many times I tell it. So it's always fresh. I am maybe the greatest Craigslist success story of all time. Quite possible. Are you familiar with Craigslist?
I know of it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So post video game dry up, middle of our recession. All entertainment jobs kind of went away. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, like I just had a kid. How am I going to do this? So I ended up working at this job like overnight. It was like a night job. It was the weirdest thing. It was watching television shows and logging product integration in the shows.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. So like if you're watching, SVU, nope, SUV, nope, SVU. Got it right. First time. I always get them mixed up. And like Stabler and Benson are interrogating a witness, and then the witness at some point takes a swig of Pepsi. It's like I had to log that, like the Pepsi was on screen for how long, how many times, did anybody mention it by name? It was the strangest job in the world.
What the fuck?
I know. It was a very odd job. But it was like the only writing job I could get. So I was doing that and I was absolutely not fulfilled creatively, as you can imagine. Uh, and I have a kind of a weird creative handicap sometimes where it's like I need to draw. I need to write. I need to do something creative or I shrivel up. But I can't always summon it, especially if I'm depressed or, distracted or overtired or something. It's like I just got nothing. And sometimes it helps to have like, what people use writing prompts or art prompts for now. So I was looking for something to please help me. So I was scrolling through Craigslist while I'm at the job, like at night, just looking for like, does anybody need a t-shirt drawn? Anything, it's just something. And I happened to see an ad where someone was asking for character design in a very specific style because they were pitching a cartoon. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is all my keywords. Like my brain is firing like crazy. The very specific style was of the 1990s. Was it 1990s? No, the early 2003-ish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series,
Yeah.
which I was very familiar with that series. And I was like, oh, I know that series. It's like, everything's a little bit angular, like no round edges. Like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. So I responded to the ad and the person wrote back and were like, okay, great. Awesome. Here's the lineup of characters I want. And they were all wrestlers. I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's like Dolph Ziggler's in there. And it was a very weird request. I'm like, that's cool. I like that. And being completely honest and transparent, I 100% phoned it in. Like, I did not do my best. I was like, I can knock this out very easily. I don't have to try. It's great. Same cockiness from before. I turned it in, and the dude was like, this is great, but it's not quite right. This is not quite the style. And I like remember reading that and sat up and went, oh, this dude's for real. Like this guy actually knows what he's talking about because he's right. This is not correct. I just thought it's good enough.
Yeah.
So I redid it correctly and sent it back, and he was like, "Oh, I love this. This is the best. Oh, this is so good. Thank you so much." And I was like, "Yeah, man, anytime. This was really fun for me. If you ever have anything else I can do for you, like let me know. This is a blast." And then he was like, "Well, do you design wrestling gear?" And as the great prophet Peter Venkman said, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. Exactly. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, I do. And he's like, awesome. Well, I'm a wrestler, and I'd love it if you could design, some gear for me. And that dude turned out to be Xavier Woods.
Yeah. Of course it did.
Yeah.
Of course it did. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
That's crazy.
It is so nuts. But
And it's a relationship that's gone on for like 12, 13 years now.
I was going to say, clearly you made an impression because, like you say, 12, 13 years, it's still going. That is absolutely insane. Were you a fan of wrestling when he contacted you or knew nothing about it?
No, I was, I guess I'd have to qualify myself as like a fair weather fan. Like when it was good, I'd watch it, and when it was bad, I did not watch it.
Yeah.
Which I will say, they could use more fans like that. They don't need this unwavering support no matter what the product is. That doesn't teach them anything. They don't learn anything from that. They need people not showing up when it's bad, so they go, oh, we need to make some changes. I'm going to die on that hill. But regardless.
I'm with it, but at least they've got some competition now. So I think that helps.
So good for the industry. It's
so good. Yeah.
Oh, man.
100%.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, I was a fan. Like I knew the hits, and I knew some of the mid card stuff, and like anybody who was like new, I had to learn who they were.
So again, I suppose it's going back to the fairly parents thing, isn't it? It's just like because you weren't an avid fan and being like, oh my god, I must get, and then obviously there's no pressure to be like, do you know what I mean? Because you're like, oh my god, I'm doing this for the new day. Kofi Kingston and Big E, blah blah blah. Holy shit! It was more like, yeah, this is what you want. There you go.
You know, it's interesting. I've been, now that I'm like firmly in whatever the gear industry is.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of people like me at home on their computers. But I have heard a lot of talent. Well, I haven't heard the talent say it specifically, but I've heard people say about the talent that there are certain, I don't know, people from the general populace that they'd rather not interact with professionally because they're fans. They're just they like the product too much. And it's not like, I don't know. I would assume that like if someone is like working too hard to make you like them, then they may not give you their best work. They may make their compromises in the craft. I'm just guessing, but I don't know. What do you think?
I completely get what you mean. I've even heard like wrestlers before say like they don't like doing wrestling podcasts because they don't like talking to fans. Not that they don't like talking to fans, but because they're gonna be like, oh my god, do you remember when you did this? And you remember when you did this? And it's not just going to be like a natural conversation, like someone that's just there for a chat. I completely get it.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw 2002, November 15th at 9:46 p.m. He jumped off a ladder but landed on his feet. He was meant to land on his back. Awful. But yeah, can't be dealing with that.
I remember when I was first becoming friends with Big E, and when I say friends, I mean like with a capital F, like when we just started hanging out a lot, like as just dudes. Wrestling until very recently has been like this giant mystery. Like we see the show, but it's like it's very veiled in like what happens behind the scenes and how things work, whatever. And I'm sure you guys are like me. I can already tell that we're all kind of cut for the same cloth. Like you want to know how it's put together. Like that's fascinating. It's interesting. Like Royal Rumble. Like how is that rehearsed? Like how? I don't understand. Still to this day. So like when I would sit with E and I was like, I am dying to know so many things. And I would just try it. I'm like, hey, by the way, how does, and then fill in the blank, whatever the question is. And he'd give like the shortest, like most unsatisfying answers in the world. And eventually I circled back to that and I was like, hey, how come, is it a secret? It's like, are you sworn to other NDAs or something? And he's like, oh, it's just the most boring thing in the world. Like, I don't think I want to talk about that. He's like, if you really want to get into it, I can, but I'm just trying to be entertaining.
It must have been rubbish and heartbreaking, obviously, for the fact that he had to retire, and obviously you've lost somebody out making gear for that. And I messaged Jamie about this. I'm turning to a fair weather fan for WWE. I've not watched it as rich as I used to, and I only very recently watched the heel turn on Big E they did on Monday Night Raw, which was the most heartbreaking thing I have ever seen in my life.
So good. This is how good those guys are.
Yes.
Like, I don't think people understand. Someday when we all retire, I'm going to publish our group chats because people don't get how bright and creative and insightful these guys are. Like they are that's why our relationship has flourished for so long, because like it's like Woods with the cartoon lineup I made. They challenge. They don't let me get away with anything. I can't phone anything in. It's like they challenge me with stuff and I have to rise to the challenge,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so invigorating, exciting, and it's fun, it's collaborative, it's all the things you want, And when they were talking about the heel turn, like it's also hilarious because they also sort of, I don't know if they treat me like a little brother or what, but like, unless I can't speak for Kofi and Woods, but E specifically likes to surprise me with things on the show. Like he'll be like, "Oh, I don't want to ruin it for you. I want to text me when you see it." You know what I mean? So it's
That's
fascinating.
nice. I like
So
that.
Yeah.
I get to know some things ahead of time when it comes to the job. Like it's like, hey, we're doing a heel turn. We're gonna need a new vibe. You know what I
Of
mean? It's
course.
like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool, cool, cool. And that's all fun. We can get into that. But when it comes to the actual mechanics of what's going to happen and whatever, I didn't really know. I just knew it was going to happen and when, but I didn't know how. And after watching it, like, and I was completely duped by the Biggie, you're gonna be our manager. And I was like, oh, that son of a B. He kept it from me. He didn't tell me. That was a surprise. And then they turned again, and it was too much. But all that to
Yeah.
say, when I talked to them afterward, they were like, we wanted to do a heel turn that's like as emotionally damaging as we can possibly do without anyone throwing a punch. Like we want a non-physical. Every heel turn is always like, someone gets
Physical.
kicked in the crotch,
Yeah.
someone
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
chaired, someone gets whatever. We're like, we want to do the hardest heel turn anyone's ever done without being physical at all. It needs to be complete emotional devastation. Like that's the kind of thought they put into it. It's crazy they did that.
And they absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
It hurt. It hurt to watch.
It did. But what I love about what you've done with them as well is they've had so many big moments, and you're tied to them because of the gear you've made for them. Like you designed the Kofi Mania gear, like the Dragon Ball Z gear for WrestleMania where they come out the big box. Like so many. That must be absolutely mental to see these huge moments on TV and be like, I'm part of that in a way.
That's funny. It's kind of neat in hindsight. Like in the moment, you never know what's actually going to be big or not. And you can't plan for it. I swear there have been so many times when we made a thing where like, this is gonna kill. And it was like, yeah, it's fine. People liked it. All right. You're like, what? So much work went into that. And then there's been times when it was like, oh, that's funny. We'll do that. Like the color by numbers thing. And then it's huge. Like you don't know. You have no idea what's going to go over. But to your point, in hindsight, it's really fun because whenever I see those pictures of Kof like up on his boy's shoulders and he's wearing that stuff I made. And that was one of those times when I got challenged because like that wasn't my idea. That came from them. They were like, hey, for this next set of gear. And the other thing was with WWE, I've learned nobody knows what's going to happen, even the talent,
No.
So like Kof was like, I was like, oh, are you gonna get the title? He's like, I don't know, but I want to be prepared if it does happen. That's the way it works. So, but they were like, hey, so for this next set of gear, we really want it to be special. We're thinking Basquiat, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and I was like, what? How am I supposed to do that? But as Peter Venkman said,
That's the name. That's the show title for this interview. It has to be.
But I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that everything you did for the New Day then meant that you've done work for Gargano, Ciampa, Adam Cole, the Halo outfit. Oh, unbelievable. That was unreal.
oh, so glad you liked it.
Claudio, Bailey, like there's so many other people. Did working with New Day help you branch out and start working with loads of other people as well?
Oh, 100%. To this day, I've never pitched anyone. I've never reached out and asked, hey, can I do your gear? It's all completely word of mouth. People see what the New Day are wearing, or, it spreads backstage because if you're
Yeah.
walking around with fire gear, then people are like, oh, who did your stuff? And then they just pass names around and, it's been pretty interesting. Although I will say a little inside baseball. I feel like that's kind of not happening as much anymore. I feel like the arena is kind of shrinking and it's like a combination of things. One, everybody kind of has a person now that they like. And they used to jump around a lot and like look for people, look for people. And I think now it's kind of people are enjoying more of the relationship thing like me and the New Day have, where it's like, no, this is my guy and we have a shorthand and I can trust them. That's a big thing because a lot of times these guys are on the road and they're like, hey, just make XXX and we trust you and we'll talk to you next month. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay. So it's like it's a sacred trust, you know? So there's that. And also I feel like there's like so many people making gear now. Like I think like 10 years ago it was like a handful. It was like 8 people tops, and now I feel like it's 38 people. So I don't get as many of the like cold calls from like people on the roster because they've got their person, which is really nice. But I do a ton of work with indie people still because I don't know, man. The roster is great. The company is cool. But there's a lot of rules and there's more rules every day. It's almost like working with indies is like a relief in a way because it's like they're excited about the future. Yeah. They're excited about debuting a look. They have like some inspiration and they like to see it come to life, and it's energizing. It's fun, and I think I've got kind of a nice balance right now.
Yeah, so it's like you get more creative freedom around it. Random question, of course, it comes with restrictions and stuff. Does that mean that you can't do stuff for AEW because Ricochet you've worked with quite a lot as well, or is it? I don't know how, like, if they get funny or weird about it at all, like, because you've done stuff for the Demand as well, which obviously they're a very new trio.
Got it. Yeah. First of all, I love the guys in the Demand. They're so fun. They're so fun and cool guys. But
just very quickly, randomly, sorry, I don't know why I think this. Bishop Khan, very handsome chap. Do you know when you can appreciate it? So every time I see him on TV, I'm like, he's a good-looking guy.
Good-looking dude.
Right? And I don't swing that way at all, but he's a very handsome guy. Sorry, please continue.
No, I'm with you. Like, yeah, I mean, look, I'm a guy who's like looking at pictures of them all day. I'm designing stuff for their bodies, and I have to look at how the last set of thing fell on their body. So I'm just like looking at pictures, and I'm like, now that's a good-looking guy. You know. Absolutely, 100%. You know, what are you gonna do? Like, lie? So
exactly,
yeah. But yeah, no. To answer your question, no, they've been extraordinarily great. The people at WWE, I think they really appreciate that their talent is out finding people that they like and they like to work with, because everything that we independent designers and gear makers do is work that the in-house people don't have to do. It's a huge roster. There's so many people to service, and we sort of take a weight off their shoulders, you know? So I think that they understand a couple of things. One is that, it's mutually beneficial. You know, we get to work with superstars who then show off our work on TV and around the world, which is nice. And they get to not deal with it. Like, what I'm learning is, like, the bigger the machine is, the less you have to deal with, the better, you know? So that's really nice. And the other thing is, I think that if there was some kind of attempt to lock any designers or gear makers down with exclusivity, you're going to have to feed them enough to keep them busy to make it worth it.
Yes.
Know? And I don't think it's such a huge undertaking. I don't think it's worth it for them. I think they're like, no, just everyone do your work. And as long as our stuff's in on time and you're not selling the same design to someone at another company, I don't think there's going to be a problem. Yeah, they've been very cool.
That's amazing. And also Ricochet's a heel, phenomenal. He's found his niche.
He's so good, right?
Yes.
Isn't he so good?
Yeah, he's on fire right now.
Oh, I get such a kick out of watching him. I love how pompous and arrogant he is.
Yeah.
And how he turns into a sniveling, like he's like Starscream.
yeah.
To tie it all back.
What a comparison.
So good. He's just my favorite right now. I love watching him.
Obviously, I did mention earlier about Bridges. I do want to talk. I know we are getting quite close for time, but we do need to talk about Bridges because it's absolutely incredible. Obviously,
Oh.
you teamed up with Big E to work on this. How did this project come about? Was this him coming to you, you coming to him? Like, how did this come about?
Another weird just synergy thing. So, um, I'm trying to think of what came first. You know what? I think unfortunately this was catalyzed by the death of George Floyd.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
don't know if you guys had the same thing. I guess we all have the same internet. But
Yeah.
uh like do you remember the blackouts that people were doing
Yes.
on
Yes.
social
Yes.
media?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I think I mentioned earlier that I have a hard time being creative. My job is to be creative on demand, which is already kind of difficult. And I have a hard time plugging into that space that I need to when I'm weighed down or when I'm distracted or depressed, you know? So I was admittedly doing a little bit of an ostrich thing where I was like, I'm purposely not watching the news. I'm purposely not taking in information because if I get snagged into this, I know it's going to weigh me down and then I won't be able to make a living. But the blackouts were very effective. Like there was no way to avoid it. And it pulled me into I'll say the story, but the events. And yeah, as I knew it would, I immediately got depressed. Got very heavy. I remember taking a lot of depression naps and just feeling like, man, there's just no hope or goodness in the world, you know? And E was feeling that way too. So was the New Day. Everybody was. Everybody was feeling that way. Um, and then E, I think all the guys they came to me and they wanted to do they wanted to do a set of gear that sort of channeled something, did something to counteract just something. And I don't remember how we came up with it. It was probably E, but we came up with this idea of like homaging Schoolhouse Rock. I don't know if you guys had that, but yeah, it was like a
No.
show that came on Saturday mornings, and it just kind of was educational. But they wanted to do something that like taught something about Black history and something about like the community and the culture to sort of do some storytelling in the best way that we could at the time. So I was working on that, and do you guys? I don't know if you're familiar with Andreas Hale. He works at ESPN. He's another friend of ours, and he came in and saw that stuff, and he said to E, he was like, "Man, this is interesting. Like this could be more than just gear. This should be, I don't know what, something narrative, you know?" And and E thought that was a great idea. He mentioned it to me, and at the time, hilariously, E didn't know about my background, like all the writing and film work that I had done, or my video game background, anything. So I filled him in on that, and he was like, "Oh, dude, I didn't had no idea. So what do you think we can make?" And I was like, "I feel like this could be maybe a short film, maybe a series, something. I don't know, something like that." So we just started brainstorming and working on it, and then slowly but surely, it sort of started forming around the idea of like a story about Black history that was like accessible and positive and not dark and not angry, like the opposite of it, you
Mm.
know? Still with, you know, some teeth because it needs to explain why it exists, you know? But we needed a subject for it. And the three of us kind of went to our separate corners one weekend. And then we all kind of came back and we were like, okay, I thought about who I want. And so did you. And so did you. And then we all said who we wanted. And every one of us said Ruby Bridges. It just happened because it felt like the perfect story of someone someone whose story could not exist, could not have moved forward, would not have become what it became if everybody didn't work together to achieve it. You know,
Yeah.
Ruby's parents, like her mom, was like, "You earned this spot. You're going to this school," even though their school's like saying this is a white only school. Her mom's like, "No, you earned it. You're going." You know, the federal marshals who guarded her on her way to the school, the principal who allowed her to come to the school, and the teacher, who Barbara Henry, who welcomed her and almost taught her alone, like almost in a tutoring kind of way, because all the other students were separated from her. Like everybody who was core to the story, who saw this little girl and saw past skin color and cultural differences and media noise and hatred, and just were like, this is just a freaking little kid who's smart enough to be here and has earned her spot and deserves to be taught here. You know, all those people came together and did that, and it created so much change. And it's such an inspirational story. Barbara Henry and Ruby Bridges are friends to this day. It was the story that we needed to tell. And then you've seen the movie, so like obviously it's like filtered through a lot of my lenses with the robot and the sci-fi and the holograms and the cool stuff. And like, to me, I was never a big history buff, and I was trying to think like, what would it take to get me interested in a story like this? And Bridges is the result of that.
It's an absolute beautiful way to tell Ruby's story. The animation is absolutely stunning.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's stunning. And Big E brings that character to life. I apologize, the name of the robot's gone out of my head, but he really brings that character to life. It's incredible.
Thank you. The robot's name is Etor.
That's it.
Which is hilarious because E's name is Ator.
Yes.
And everyone mispronounces it Etor forever. So it felt like, you know what? Let's just lean into it and we'll make a joke out of it. Like that'll be the character's name. But now E has gone on to regret that because now people are like, I knew it was Etor the whole time. They don't even try to get it right now.
And I think it's just such an important story, especially today. I don't want to get all political and stuff, but you know, people are being treated very differently in the news these days because of the way they look and because, you know, they're not the normal, the same or whatever. So and as a parent as well, I love seeing this story being told where kids are being encouraged to be brave and be themselves. And it's something I tell my kids all the time: you are you, be proud of who you are. So, you know, it really hit me as a parent, and it's just absolutely stunning. I really connected with it. I absolutely loved it.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me to hear, and it is unfortunately a pretty relevant story still. It's starting to look like it might be evergreen, unfortunately. But you know, we kept saying on the team when we were making it, because it took like 3 years to make, that we hope that by the time this movie's done, it's completely irrelevant and feels like a relic of the past. So, you know, fingers crossed that one day this movie won't mean anything to anyone.
One day. But would you go back to, because obviously with the Hall of Heroes, you've got so many other people you could focus on. Would you ever go back to this project and do something else?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we actually took a lot of meetings that I have no business being in. It was E. Like he's a popular guy. He's well known. He can get some doors open. So yeah, we met with a lot of like really big studios, and we were in some really interesting meetings, and everyone seemed to express a lot of interest in it because I had like a whole like story Bible and a pitch deck and everything, and I would go through the pitch, and everybody really liked it. Unfortunately, and I can only guess, you know, you can only guess why a project doesn't take off, but this was right around the rise of what's going on now. And it, like, you know, before, it seems like we're cresting a little bit, maybe a little bit, feels like it. But this was at the rise of it. This was like when the Death Eaters were like revealing themselves and flying out of the so it suddenly became like a little bit like, I won't say toxic, but like it was like became the type of project that no studio was going to put money into at that exact time, unfortunately.
I'm just so insanely sorry for what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that in general, like it's been a rough time, but I am seeing some cracks in the armor here and there. Right?
Please, come on.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed. Obviously, I am conscious of time. I've just realised the time we have gone over a little bit. I do apologise, but
I'm having a blast. Like,
that's okay then. Okay, good. Fine then. We're going.
Another hour. Let's go another hour.
Sorry to your deadlines. No. But looking at the future, though, is there things that you're working on at the moment that you can talk about or have got coming out that you can talk about?
Okay, so no, but here's the reason.
Because you're stopping me from finishing it.
No, when Bridges like finished, there was like this period of pitching bridges and creating more things and stuff like that. We were going through like kind of that, I don't know, that cycle of gestation. Um, and then right around that time, we got the green light to make F plus. So I started working on that, and that took about a year. And they were supposed to come out at the same time, and it ended up being they came out a year apart. No, I don't know why. Um, so so when F plus came out last year, that's when things started gestating again. It was like, oh, okay, cool. So what's the next project going to be? So I'm like right in the middle of that cycle where it's so early, it's not worth talking about. Like, so
Okay.
unfortunately, I do have some stuff cooking, but it's not even worth bringing up yet.
Fair enough.
What I think is amazing, I flipped back through your Instagram. I went right to the beginning and had a little flick through. Your daughter wrote a novel for you for Father's Day in 2022. Unbelievable. Passing.
Riddle Middle. Look at
Yeah,
this thing. That's insane.
that is insane.
She was like 11 when she wrote
No
this.
way.
Yes.
Oh,
Crazy.
Incredible.
that, yeah.
I'm going to go wake my daughter up and tell her to up a game.
I mentioned her stubbornness. This was part of it. She decided she wanted to just write. She wanted to write a novel. And she got it in her head like, I'm going to write a novel. And she did some research. She's like, a novel is generally this many chapters, this many words, whatever. So I'm going to write my story until I hit that goal. And she would go in her room and just be gone for hours. We'd go on vacation and she just is in another room to the point where my wife and I were like, this is kind of worrying. Like, it's like, well, I'm annoyed now. Now I'm mad. First I was proud. Now I'm angry because I can't see her and we're not hanging out together as a family. She's like sequestered herself or whatever. And also like, do we need to see a doctor? Like this is very obsessive. And then one day I'll never forget because we were on vacation. It's this like cabin that some friends own that we get to stay at during the summers. And my wife and I were downstairs just watching TV, and she was in another room. And then she came out and she was like, "Okay, I'm done." Sat down and hung out with us the rest of the time. And yeah, and so this was the book. So
That's
it's pretty
amazing.
fun.
That's
Like
insane.
inspiring. Like, would you ever want to pass your knowledge down at some point in the future? Like, I don't know, book or doing like online meetings, that sort of thing, like, and pass on your knowledge to the future generation, sort of thing.
Oh man, yeah, actually yes. What else am I gonna do with this stuff? Like at some point, I think you can't do exactly this forever and ever.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like I know some stuff. I feel like some people could benefit from it. And I was teaching for a little while, and I really enjoyed that. I get a lot out of it. So yeah, I would love that. That's actually something I would love to do.
Yeah, I can imagine the first sort of lecture thing. It's like, right, so you did a job you don't like, then go on Craigslist and scroll through the adverts and see.
Chapter 1, Peter Venkman.
Chapter 2.
Rule of
Why,
threes, we hit it.
why did Optimus Prime turn into a lion?
That sounds like a riddle. I'd like to know the end.
It does actually. What Tom asked there about like teaching and stuff like that does bleed in quite nicely because of the question I was going to ask, because people might be listening to this and they want to do what you've done. They want to become artists and put their art out into the world. If you were to give someone some advice, maybe one piece, two people, whatever piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh man, this is different than what I would have said a year ago, because of the advent of AI. It used to be, I used to say like, it doesn't matter what I used to say. Here's what I'm saying now. If somebody wants to get into, say, depends on what path you're referring to, but I'll assume it's gear design or something. If you're really wanting to do that, I would say study what's out there, learn how the body works, learn how clothing works, because the thing about wrestling gear is it can't just look good, it also has to be functional. And you got to remember that even if it looks cool on paper, someone's got to actually make it, and it's got to resist tears, and it has to It's like form and function, like a perfect fusion of the two. But I know I'll speak directly to the camera. Guys, I know it's so tempting to just chat GPT your way through life. I get it. I completely understand. And I think that AI is like going to be an extraordinarily valuable tool. I do believe that. I don't think it'll go away. I think we'll find its correct application. But there are a couple of reasons that when you're beginning something, when you're learning something, you need to try to avoid it because AI is a shortcut. It's teaching you, it's not teaching you anything, and it's breaking a bunch of rules that you don't know yet. You got to learn the rules first, and then you learn how to break them as you go. And if you jump straight to AI and your client wants you to make modifications, or they have a very specific thing they're trying to homage, or some piece of storytelling that they're trying to get through to you or to express to the world, if you don't have those fundamental storytelling capabilities, if you haven't built that muscle up, if it's like just atrophied and weak, you won't be able to deliver for your client, and you're going to be embarrassed, and you might not be able to work again. You're going to get a reputation of someone who maybe shows up strong and then can't follow through, you know? And that's kind of one side. And the other side is this, and I don't think a big deal is being made of this right now, but it needs to be, which is currently AI creations are not eligible for copyright. And if there's one thing that these big companies, especially WWE, is big on, it's making themselves lawsuit proof. They're very, very concerned about people suing them, about people being litigious, about people claiming the rights to things that they should own. And if you generate something for WWE and it gets made, you have opened the company up for a humongous lawsuit, a huge one, because they do not own the thing that's on their superstar. So again, authorship is extremely important. You have to do the work. It has to come through you. I'm not saying you can't be inspired by things. I'm not saying you can't like pull influences. We all do. But the work really has to be human made, at least for now. The laws are what they are right now. And when someone finds out that you're not actually authoring your work, they're not going to want to take the risk of using anything from you, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. Mr. Stevens, do you have any more questions for our wonderful guest?
I do, Mr. Davenport. When you were growing through your life cycle, writing, you went to film school, you started doing video games, all that sort of thing. Did you ever think, after jumping on Craigslist on one random evening, that you would be designing unicorns, pancakes, breakfast cereals, for three wonderful human beings who have graced the lives of so many people, and for black people all over the world, which they're a huge inspiration. And then obviously designing for other people as well. I know you've got your own movies and your shorts, and your daughter's now writing, but like insane. Did you ever think this is where your life would be today?
Yeah, 100%. I knew it the whole time.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. Thank you.
There's no way of predicting these crazy turns. I feel like the Forrest Gump of gear design or something. I feel like I'm just like floating feather going from one thing to another to another. But I will say I'd be remiss if I didn't say this any chance I got. I look, meeting Kofi, meeting Woods, meeting E, completely changed the trajectory of my life in a lot of ways. Professionally, they handed me a career that I didn't even know existed. I had no idea that was a thing, So that's amazing. They gave me the opportunity to have my work seen by people all over the world. They empowered me with trusting me with their brand, and like just slowly, like over the years, like giving me more and more autonomy over the things that they wear and the way they present themselves, which is insane. And also, if I'm being like totally vulnerable here, like I didn't know, I didn't know people could be that good if they didn't have to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there are people who are perfectly pleasant and polite and nice to people they need, of course, but to the people they don't need, like, there's like cruelty, there's indifference, there's apathy. And these are guys who could find someone else at the drop of a hat. And they have been so kind to me and so good to my family. When my house flooded out the other year, they helped me. Anytime that we reach a place where we're like in trouble, or I'm getting desperate, or there's like it's getting a little sweaty over here, they always like, hey man, are you okay? What do you need? What can we do for you? They're so good. They're such good people, all three of them. I don't know how they found each other, and I don't know how I got so lucky as to cross paths with them and have them in my life. But I know a lot of people say this jokingly, but I absolutely 100% mean it from the bottom of my soul when I say, thank God for the new day.
What a beautiful way to end this. That was absolutely incredible. Oh, John, this has been amazing. Thank you really so much. We've got to do this again because there's so many things I didn't even get to ask because, this has been absolutely amazing. But before we let you go, plug social medias, websites. Where can people find you out in the world?
I am going Instagram exclusive because Twitter is a cesspool and I don't enjoy it. I understand it's where most people go, and it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. That's fine. But I'm on Instagram at Davenport, Davenpoe. That's where you can find my work. That's where you can find latest gear stuff, my behind the scenes processes, any of the storytelling that I'm lucky enough to put into gear. You can all find it there.
Beautiful.
John, seriously though, we really appreciate your time. We know how insanely busy you are. Hopefully you've got 2 cars now.
Oh, no. I've got a rental that I'm driving around. We had to rent one this week. Not just for this.
Okay.
It was to get food.
It's to get food. And even that didn't happen.
God damn it.
None of it went right.
But thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Really enjoyed chatting to you, getting to know you and everything. We have to do this again.
I'm in. I had a blast. No joke. This was so fun. So, I have a question. How did you guys find me? Like, how did you find me out in space?
I stumbled on... It was through New Day Gear. That's where I've been following you for years. And then
cool.
I saw a post and I was like, do you know what? I need to reach out to this guy because I want to hear his story. When I saw like bridges and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, we've got to get him on the show.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, I had the best time. So anytime.
Have an amazing rest of your day. I hope dinner doesn't suck too much.
Thanks, fellas. You too. I appreciate the well wishes. I need it.
We'll be thinking of you. Godspeed, sir. Godspeed.
Thank you, fellas.
Take care. See you later.
Take care, John.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.